Hello, everyone out there, and welcome to this year's annual Residents Association meeting. My name is Suzanne Arkowski. I am this year's president of the Residents Council. And an annual meeting is something we have every year. We were supposed to have it in October, but like so many things this year, it's been delayed and delayed again. So I'd like to get started now. We're going to start with Christy Battistoni with financial information and things like that. Now, this is also part of the Residents Association meeting every year. Christy?
I can take this off, right? Or,
Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christy Battistoni. I'm the Director of Finance here at Woodland Pond. I hope everybody's staying healthy and well. Every year at this meeting, we discuss what the upcoming rates are going to be and give some information regarding our entrance fees and things like that. Everyone, we need to let residents know when the rates are going to change on the November 1st prior to the 1/1 start. So that's why notifications were sent out to everyone. We need to get Department of Financial Services approval, and that doesn't always happen by that date. So we let everyone know what the rates are going to be, with the exception that we're just waiting for approval. Can people see that? So I listed the rates here. I know everybody knows what they are, but I put them on this piece of paper as well. We did get our DFS approval on November 12th. So these are the rates that are going to go into effect in January 1st of 2021. Across the board, we did a 2.8% increase for the first person fee as well as the second person fee. If anybody has any questions regarding those, please feel free to contact me at any time via email or calling me in my office. Now, regarding our entrance fees and our contracts, Michelle and I normally meet with marketing to talk about what increases we want to do on our entrance fees based on what we think that the market can bear. So this year, I think everyone is well aware that our larger apartments, the dogwoods, oaks, and cottages, are in high demand. We have a waiting list for those units, and they don't turn over that often. We've attempted to do some incentives to see if anybody wanted to downsize. Once in a while, we have a taker, but we actually still have the waiting list for those units, and we have our smaller units that are more readily available. So that being said, what we decided to do this year on our contracts, so we offer what's called right now we offer a 90% refundable contract. 9% of your refund goes to your heirs, your state, whatever you opt. We have a 50% refundable contract, and then we have a traditional contract, which is 0% refundable. And those contracts, obviously the 90% is the most expensive, the 50% less expensive, and the traditional, the least expensive, because again, there's no refund. So we decided on the 90% and the 50% contracts. We increased those entrance fees this year for the three smaller units by 5%, and they range, and the larger units by 10%. Those contracts, the 90% contracts, run anywhere between $399,000 and $561,000. That's what the rates will be for this year. And that's one person, not a second person. The 50% contracts, we raised the same, the smaller units by 5% and the larger units by 10%. Those contracts run anywhere between $270,000 and $392,000. And the traditional contracts, we felt that there was more room to increase the rates. So the smaller units are going up by 10% and the larger units by 15%. Those contracts will run anywhere between $219,000 and $307,000. This year, so far, we have not sold one 90% contract. We've sold all 50% and traditional contracts. which is what we were originally aiming for. So we're happy with those results. Life care this year, we're only going to increase 2.5%. The double person life care fee will end up being just under 200,000, and we thought going over $200,000 for it, there's like a mental component of people thinking that that's just too much money. So it landed at 199,106 for 2021. Excuse me. Oh, so those are going to be our entrance fee increases for the upcoming year. Marketing is obviously, with COVID, it's been slow. We've had about one move in per month. Shannon and Courtney have been working really hard, and they actually we're really hoping to get maybe 5 or 6 in over the next few months. So we have a lot of people interested, a lot of people with deposits. So far, one has happened this month of November. We potentially could get another one November, and then we're hoping for maybe 5 in December. We're able to let people know that the rates are going to go up in January, so that often prompts people to want to settle in December in order to get the decreased rates. So again, if you know anybody, send them marketing's way. We have quite a few apartments that are available, about 16 apartments that are available between residents that have moved over to the health center on a permanent basis and their unit hasn't been reoccupied, as well as some people that have directly passed in independent living. So we really need to get those apartments occupied. One thing I wanted to mention on the 2021 budget, we did a preliminary draft budget, which the board has approved. There's a lot of unknown and uncertainty, obviously, given COVID. We end up tweaking it a little bit and get a final budget adopted by the board at the beginning of 2021. The reason our health insurance, we don't find out our health insurance premium rates that always go up. We don't find that out because the policy renews in March. And our large insurances, our property insurance and our other insurances, workers' comp, whatnot, they all renew in March as well. So we tend to not have those rates. So it's hard to get those into the budget when we have to budget in November and December. So we will get that all tweaked and get that adopted. And then I'll probably, have a meeting, some sort of meeting to review what the budget is for the upcoming year as well. I think that's about all I had on the rates. Does anybody have any questions? And the people at home can contact me via email or call my desk. My extension is 5511 with any questions. If anybody ever wants any copies of what the entrance fee rates are going to be, marketing, now that they're all approved, marketing will end up making up the brochures and have those available if anybody wants to get that information. Well, thank you. Stay well.
Thank you, Christy. Okay, just for the benefit of new people having moved in, I mentioned resident association and resident council. They're not the same thing. They're related, but not the same thing. The Residents Association is made up of all residents in Woodland Pond. If you live in Woodland Pond, you are a member of the association. The Residents Council is a board of 9 people who have been elected to represent the association to management and to the board of not the Board of Education, sorry, I was a teacher, the board of directors. And we're going to be now introducing those 9 people that are on the council this year. Then we're going to introduce the 3 new members for next year. Normally, actually there's 4 ran, so we're going to have 4 who were elected, but we have 1 special case, so she will be kind of in the middle. And I do owe an apology to George Brown, because in the Woodland Life, when we listed this year's members of the council, his name was omitted. And I do apologize, George. He is here, he is on the council, and we're very happy to have him here. Here's council members, and then when that's done, we're going to members who will start serving in January. So can we start? Should we start with George Brown?
Thanks, Suzanne. I'm George Brown. I joined the council in August, replacing a person who stepped off, Marcia Thompson, I believe. And I will be on the board for another year through to the end of 2021. I'm liaison with the Health Committee and the Sustainability Committee, and that means that we simply report at each meeting any activities that those committees may have undertaken in the previous period of time. Thanks.
Carol Natoli.
Hi, I've been on the council for 22 and a half months. And it's been a lot of fun. It's had its ups and downs, especially this year with COVID, but it's been good. And I am the liaison with the Design and Decor Committee, and that's been a lot of fun too. And I'm going to continue working with the Design and Decor Committee afterwards. And I just want to say that I loved working with this group of people. They've been interesting, and a lot of good ideas came from a lot of different people, and it was great. And I'm sure we're going to be leaving it in good hands. Thanks.
Joan Hollister.
I am Joan Hollister, and I've been on the council since January of 2020, so I will continue on through 2021. I've been the liaison with the Finance Review Committee. And although I'm looking forward to working with the new members, I'm very much going to miss the folks who are stepping down. Thank you.
Jenny. I'm not sure how much Jenny has to say, but she can come up and say hello anyway. She's brand new to the council.
Hi, I'm Jennyesser, and I'm a newly appointed member of the council, so I'm very delighted to be working with all of you. I will be the liaison to the library committee, and I'm certainly looking forward to that also, so thanks.
Dave Smith.
Hi, my name is David Smith. I am on my first year of being on the council, so I'll be, like others, serving one more year. I am currently the liaison to the Lands Conservation Committee and to the Physical Plant Committee. I was, in the beginning of the year, liaison to the Sustainability Committee as it got created, but you folks certainly got an upgrade when George joined the committee.
One member is not here today because she is quarantining. Annette Johnson has been our corresponding secretary. This is her first year on the council. She will be continuing again next year. Sorry you can't have her here to say hello, but that's the way this year has been going. Shalom.
Carol did the math, so I now know I'm 22 and a half months on the council. In my first year, I was the corresponding secretary, and this past year I have worked under the tutelage of our president as the vice president, helping her wherever I could. I've also had the privilege of setting up our Zoom meetings, which we have been obliged to do. I have been the liaison to the Health Committee for a while, and then liaison to the Welcome Committee, but I haven't done much liaisoning because with the conditions around here, most of those committee meetings never took place. I'll be stepping down in another month and a half, and I can just say that it's been an exciting and really a fascinating experience being on the council. And it's a great way to learn something about what's going on here. A tremendous number of different things are going on, and you'll get to know, if you ever join the council, you'll get to know a fair number of them. So thank you.
And as I said, my name is Suzanne Arkowski. I'm this year's president. I'm just finishing up my second year on the council. Both years I've been liaison to the dining committee and to the landscape committee. And in addition to being on the council and learning what's going on, you learn what's going on in the committees also. Now we have one more member that is serving this year. I saved her to last because she also ran and was reelected to run next year. So not only is she the last one to come up and talk about her experiences for the last 2 years, she's the first one to say hello as a new member or continuing member for next year's council. Michelle Caccavano.
Hello, I'm Michelle Caccavano. Some of you know me from walking around the halls and on the council. I served as the recording secretary, so I'm the person responsible for putting the minutes together at each of the meetings. I was also the liaison to the Chanticleer, and over the last couple of months, I became the liaison to the board. So I've been serving on all three of those areas, and I've enjoyed being on the council and working with everybody, and I'm sorry to see some of the members leave. So, but I'm looking forward to next year. And I've been serving for just about 2 years now, or 22 and a half months to be exact. Thanks.
I would like to repeat what Carol has said. It's been a privilege to work with this group of people. We don't always agree, but we disagree in constructive ways. It's a real team, and I've been blessed with having this team for the year that I was president, and I thank all of you. Okay, now the new members. We've already introduced Michelle as a continuing member. Yakov, just come up and say hello, please.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm just been elected for my first role officially in the board, in the council. I've been active with the sustainability committee since I came here, and I look forward to work with everybody on whatever I'm asked to do. I hope not too much, but we'll try to focus in particular on the issues of communication and trying to get people involved in activities and being connected as much as possible given the circumstances. Thank you.
Carl?
Hello. I was going to run for my chair, imitating our president-elect, the way he runs up to the microphone, but I thought I better not. Anyway, after 3 years of being on the nominating committee and asking some of you who are sitting out here, please join the committee, I am now decided it was time for me to step up, and I'm looking forward to the experience. It should be fun. Thanks.
And the last new member, Alice Cross.
Hello, everybody. It's happy to be here as an incoming member of this council. I've heard a lot about it in past years. I've been here a long time, and I'm ready to try to be helpful in making this place, we can't say better. Not sure there's any improvement, but anyway, we like to answer anybody's questions, requests, and try to make this continue to be the wonderful place it is. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you. I'm sure you're going to be doing a wonderful job in the next 2 years. Like everything else during this year of COVID, things have been a little bit different here. However, we have managed to have some accomplishments. One of the first things we did was we updated the bylaws. That seems to happen about every 3 years, and this happened to be the 3rd year. We actually were ready with our proposed amendments in March. We had scheduled a special association meeting the end of March to introduce our proposals to the community. Well, that never happened. And it took us until August, and it happened on Zoom. Sorry, it happened here. We had to get out printed things, but you probably remember everybody had to vote, and our amendments were passed 100%. So we'd like to thank everybody who participated in that. One of the biggest and most wonderful things that was accomplished by council, mostly by one member of the council, was a letter of commendation from Governor Cuomo to this Michelle and to the staff here. And I'd like to bring Michelle Caccavano up to talk about that because it was her idea, and she's the one who really got in there and made the phone calls to find out the status, et cetera. So Michelle, I'll let you do the talking. I'm not going to do that. You'll do a much better job on it.
So I guess I should tell you the story of how this all started. I think every single person in this place realized what a stress it was for the management team and Michelle Gramolia to do what they did to accommodate what was going on with COVID for this community. And every day we would talk among ourselves and say how much we appreciated it and how we wished we could recognize it in some way. And we were kind of tossing around a lot of ideas at that time. And I remember I was sitting on the couch talking to Flo, and I said, you know, maybe we should write a really great letter. And then we were like, well, who should we send the letter to get some kind of accommodation? And actually Flo was the one who suggested Governor Cuomo. And I thought, well, why not? So I sat down, wrote the letter, brought it to the committee, and I said, what do you think? And then everybody had input on the letter and things that we could improve on the letter. So then the letter went off. I think it was April. Yeah, it was April. And every day I would wait for something in the mail to come, and it didn't come. So then I would call the governor's office and ask, did you get our letter? And they would say, yes, we did. Oh, okay. I said, well, do you know what the status is? And they would say, oh, we definitely got your letter. And they had, because they recognized my name. And then 2 weeks would go by and we wouldn't hear anything. And at that point, I guess when maybe a couple of months went by, trying to remember the dates now, I was getting frustrated. And then one day I went to the mailbox and there it was, this beautiful green folder. And I was so excited. I called Suzanne up and really scared her by saying, I have something I have to show you right away. And she said, okay, but I didn't tell her what it was. And I ran up to her apartment and I said, she was waiting for me on the bench because she was kind of nervous that I would be running up to her apartment. And I said, look at this. And we read the letter and we were so happy that we were able to accomplish that. And then we thought, well, what do we do with it now? So we came down and talked to Gretchen, and that's how she arranged for us to present that to Michelle the next day. So I'm very happy that we got that from Michelle. And the feedback from the residents was incredible. They were so happy that she had been recognized and it had been sent, and that the letter had come from Governor Cuomo. So I was really pleased to be part of that.
Thank you, Michelle. It really was a big occasion for all of us. Now, in January and February, when we had our council meetings in the classroom, guests were invited. We would go anywhere from 5 or 6 to 10 or plus guests at every single meeting, which is a wonderful way to keep the residents involved. We would also have a monthly ears session where any resident could come and present concerns they had to the council to see what we could do to help them out. That all ended in March. So we've been trying to think, how can we stay in contact with the residents? And we've come up with a couple different ways. You may have noticed, this is a Woodland Life. I know you can't see it very well out there, but on page 2, for the last several months, there's been an article called Council Corner that comes from us to keep you abreast of what we're doing, and just to say hi and offer encouragement on these awkward times. Another thing that was added, and again, we have one council member to thank for spearheading it and getting it going. And I would like to call Dave Smith to come up here and talk about that, for adding our council connections.
Thank you, Suzanne, but you're giving me more credit than I deserve. This is an example of an idea that started out as one thing and came back in a better form. As Suzanne said, we are not meeting, we're not seeing each other as often as we'd like to. And we have an opportunity through 1340 to do certain things. So I had the idea that maybe the council should get some time and talk about certain issues. And I brought that to Suzanne. She says, well, I'll put it on the agenda. And I wasn't there for the meeting, but it went south. It didn't pass. I didn't have it shaped up right. And I got to thinking, at the annual meetings like this one, past presidents would have 2 or 3 different committee chairs come up and speak for 2 or 3 minutes each about their accomplishments during the course of the year. And that was great, but it wasn't, everybody wasn't given a chance to present. So I said, well, why don't we use that time on a recurring basis, and highlight a different committee each month. So I brought that back to the council, and everybody said, yeah, that's a workable idea. Go do it. And so I had called up several committee chairs and asked them what they thought about it. And every one of them, I think I called about 7, every one of them was, yes, I'd love to. When do you want me? So we started doing this in September. We've had 4 meetings, 4 so far. And by coincidence, it turns out that 2 of them got newly elected to the council for the coming 2 years. Now, that's not a requirement. If I ask you to appear for a half-hour sit down or interview, it doesn't mean you have to run for the council next year. Although it's working out well for Carl and Alice. So I have done a couple of the interviews. Suzanne did one, a very nice one last week, and we have another one coming up this Thursday with Dawn from the Sustainability Committee. And I'm hoping we can do it in this room, and I'm hoping that we can have an audience and get some feedback. But overall, the concept is to have a more in-depth interview, like what some people did when they had their own time on 1340, and they would interview different people about different topics. You can get a few questions in more than just somebody reading a 1 or 2 page report. So I'm hoping that in Woodland Ponder land that is being well received. I have had a couple people come up to me and say that they've seen it and they enjoyed it. One fellow referred to it as council conversations, which I think is also a good title. We didn't consider that one, but it's a good thing. So anyway, I hope we can continue it into next year. If the council chooses to do that, it seems to be working well. I'm having some fun with it, but I don't know if I'll be the one doing it next year. Somebody else might wish to, or we'll see. Anyway, that's the story. It's not as interesting a story as you have for yours, but it's the story. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right now, I'd like to thank many, many people who are too many to name, but so many residents have stepped up to be delivery deputies. They deliver meals, deliver packages, deliver groceries, deliver flyers, deliver newspapers, and just about anything else. So thank you to all of you who have done this. I think we did mention a special thanks to Pat Kirkpatrick, Dave Smith, and Tom Natoli for sorting the newspapers every single morning before many of us are even out of bed. And then people would deliver them. So thank you to everyone. It's been a tough, difficult, unusual year, but it's those kinds of things that make it doable for all of us. Now, as a council, we have had some special challenges this year. We were no longer allowed to meet in person. We initially tried Skype, which sometimes in the middle of a conversation, somebody would fade off the screen. It didn't work very well. Do you remember that? So then we went to Zoom meetings, and that worked much better, except we had one member whose computer was down, so she would join us by phone. We had another who tried successfully one time to get on, the next time could not get on. So it happens sometimes. We will be continuing off and on to meet by Zoom as things shut down. We've been able to meet in the classroom lately, and last 2 weeks ago we could not because we were again on a shutdown. Hopefully this week we'll be meeting in the classroom. We've been allowed up until this week up to 5 guests in the classroom, but now we're limited only to 10 people. So we will have no guests, Yakov, Carl, and Alice, on Thursday because we will be going over the limit. So I'm sorry about that. When we're doing our Zoom meetings, we're all in our apartments or cottages. We would meet Thursday morning. Also on Thursday morning, the landscape company is here mowing the lawns. And they would be outside one cottage, so we couldn't hear that person. They'd have to mute. Then they'd be outside another cottage. That person would have to mute, or outside a cottage, one of the apartments. So it was kind of fun deciding who could talk and who couldn't. But, you know, we're doing it. We've been trying to continue with ears through a council folder at the concierge, but we've not had very many takers on that. That's just the way it's going to be, I think. I think right now we're all feeling COVID fatigue. It's a real thing. It's not going to go away anytime soon. But I am often impressed when we are allowed out in the hallway and you walk down the hall, you pass somebody, how you doing? Everybody says, hanging in there. We're just going to have to keep on hanging in there a little bit longer, and maybe a little bit longer, maybe a lot longer. So everybody just keep on hanging in there. Okay, I know I am, and all of us are getting very tired of being part of a major historical event. We can all agree that in 2015, not one person got the answer correct to, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? You know, if 2020 was a math word problem, it would read something like this. You're going down a river at 2 miles per hour and your canoe loses a wheel. How much pancake mix would you need to reshingle your roof? And we expect an answer from all of you by the end of tomorrow. Okay, so with that, I'd like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Despite COVID, we have a lot to be grateful for. We have a wonderful staff here that do a great job of taking care of us. We do have family that we can at least see on Zoom or talk to on the telephone. So everybody, wonderful holidays. Remember the good things and stay well. Thank you. Sorry, one more thing. Gretchen asked me to remind you, anybody who has not been to the mailroom because the mailroom has been closed and has been unable to pick up their Woodland Pond Life, copies will be available for you at the concierge. So if you've not received your November Woodland Pond Life, please go to concierge and pick up a copy. Thank you.